This is BaseballGuys.com, and I'm Ray Flowers. Gonna do something a little bit different today. Instead of doing my normal blog entry, I figured I would just do my blog entry on a video. We'll see how it goes. First player on the list today to talk about is Carlos Beltran. He had the knee surgery that I reported on last night at BaseballGuys.com. You can get a full rundown and another video there about the procedure. Bottom line is it looks like the Mets knew that he was talking to doctors. They were hoping he would get a third opinion before progressing to the point of surgery. That didn't happen. There still are some concerns that the Mets might try to go after Beltran and recoup some of the money because he didn't go through the proper channels for the knee surgery. Bottom line is, he had the surgery. He's going to be out a minimum of 12 weeks. I think that's very optimistic at this point. We're not quite certain if it's microfracture surgery or not. If it was that microfracture surgery, that 12-week thing is not going to happen. Personally, I'd be very surprised if he was healthy at any point in the first half of the season. Look for this really to ding his value, regardless of what happens off the field with the financial situation. Next player on the list is Brad Lidge, another injured player. Lidge had all kinds of struggles last year. His whip was over 1.8, his ERA was over 7, yet the Phillies kept insisting he was healthy. Obviously, that wasn't the case. As soon as the season was over, Lidge had surgery on his elbow. Deemed minor, no one was too worried about that. Last week, turns out he now had surgery on his knee. So his elbow and his knee have been fixed. This most recent procedure will set him back about 2 weeks in his rehab. The team is still hopeful to get him back on the field throwing pitches in game action in mid to late April. But for the short term, Ryan Matson's value just went up because it looks like he'll be closing for the majority of the month of April, if not further, if Lidge doesn't rebound his hope from these procedures. Third player on the list, Adam LaRoche. Adam LaRoche is not a Scott Boras client. He might wish he had been when you hear the following bit of information. Giants offered a 2-year, $17 million deal to LaRoche to be their first baseman before moving on to signing Aubrey Huff. When that occurred, the teams interested in LaRoche shrunk yet again. One of the few teams that had a position or interest apparently was the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they swooped in and signed LaRoche to a very, very reasonable 1-year deal for about $4.5 million. Obviously, LaRoche lost a second year on the contract and lost well over $10 million in the deal. Not a great financial decision, but in terms of his ability to be productive on the field, this is positive news. Last 4 seasons, he's had at least 83 RBIs each year. He's one of only 8 first basemen to do that. And moving to a ball yard in Arizona that was the 3rd best park in the National League, according to park indices, for left-handed home run hitters, should be a boon to his production. Look to him to do his normal 25 home run, 90 RBI thing this year, and look for a bigger contract next offseason. Next player on the list, Josh Johnson. Marlins were slapped down recently by Major League Baseball because apparently they weren't taking the money that was given to them through revenue sharing and investing all of that back onto the on-field product. Now, this is kind of one of those read between the lines situation, but basically Major League Baseball said, hey, we're giving you this money and you're not putting it on the field, you're not using it to spend on players, stop stuffing it in your pocketbook, start spending it on your players. It's great news for Dan Uggla and Josh Johnson because the Marlins may in essence be forced to spend that money on players, and those are the 2 main guys they would spend it on. Uggla, he's still under arbitration. There's some issue there with how much money he'll get paid, but they might want to sign him to a deal now. They might want to just go through the arbitration process and keep him. He's probably going to end up staying in Florida after most thought he'd be moved this offseason. Back to Johnson. Had a great season last year, really rebounded from arm issues, was tremendous, one of the top 10 pitchers in the National League last year. He and his agent have stood firm in their desire to get a 4-year deal. They say they're looking for something along the lines of Zach Greinke. I think that was a 4-year, $40+ million deal. That's the same kind of thing they're looking for with Josh Johnson. Whether or not the cheap Marlins will do that, backed by pressure from Major League Baseball, remains to be seen. We'll hopefully have a resolution to that in the next couple of days. Joel Zumaya, next player on the list, recently agreed to a 1-year deal, $915,000. He's coming back from shoulder surgery. The belief is he might be the number 1 guy to close there in Detroit, which is why the Tigers are so interested and still in negotiation with Jose Valverde to possibly come in to be their closer this year. Zumaya, when healthy, still throws in the upper 90s. Problem is the guy has never been healthy. In fact, the past 3 seasons, he's never thrown more than 29 games. So it would behoove the Tigers to continue to pursue Valverde, have him there as the 9th inning guy, and have Zumaya as the fallback option. Johnny Damon, veteran ball player looking for a place to play, kind of like Adam LaRoche situation. The big money offer deal wasn't there. This guy is a Scott Boras client, so you would assume he would get the best deal possible, but it's just not coming together for Damon. Not many teams are looking to add a mid-30s outfielder at this point. A lot of teams are set with their lineup. Look for Damon to sign a deal, possibly with the Braves, maybe a 1 or 2 year deal. He looks like he's going to be this year's Bobby Abreu, a veteran with a lot of talent, a lot of skills, forced to sign a one-year deal because the market just isn't there. Two more guys, two more situations to mention briefly. Jermaine Dye, longtime Chicago White Sox slugger, might be going to the Cubs, might be going to the other side of Chicago. The Cubs are looking at him as a possibility to kind of move around the outfield, maybe help a little bit here and there. It doesn't look like they want to give him a full-time role, but they think he can be very valuable, helping both at corner outfield spots and maybe at first base as well. And then finally, Los Angeles Dodgers. They've got the front office issues with the divorce going on between them courts, throwing kind of the on-field product into a little bit of an upheaval. At this point, the Dodgers desperately need starting pitching. They've got Kershaw and Billingsley at the top of the rotation, and then there's a lot of praying going on there. So they really need to do something. They're in the Joe Pinheiro mix. If he doesn't sign with the Mets, the Dodgers have been rumored to be the top option for him to fall back to. They're also in the market to have discussions with guys like John Garland, Vincente Padilla, Braden Looper. None of those guys are very exciting, but at this point, the Dodgers really got to do the best they can to get people to fill innings. This is Ray Flowers, BaseballGuys.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back with you shortly.